Today's lesson is from 2.3 entitled Polynomial Division. So we have been working with polynomials at this point, and we were kind of at a stopping point as far as solving anything. We can only solve very specific polynomials right now that factor in a certain way. And so today we're going to learn a new skill that's going to allow us to solve polynomials of higher order or higher degrees. And so we are going to just do polynomial division today. And so this is an example of something that would be polynomial division. So I've got, it's kind of in a fraction here, and I have this divided by this, right? That's another way to think of a fraction. And I can do division here because the degree of this numerator is higher than the degree of this. So that means we can actually do polynomial division here. Okay, so what we're going to do is, this is just like long division. So if I had 3 and I was going to divide it into, say, 76, right, then I take 3 and I think, what will I multiply 3 by to get 7 without going over? So that would be 2, and then I write this 2 times 3 is 6 underneath. I subtract and get 1, and then I bring down the next thing, which is 16. So then I have 3 times 5 gives me 15, right, the biggest number without going over. And so I put the 15 here, I subtract, and I get 1. Now I'm out of numbers here, so then one way that I can write this as, this is my remainder, so I could write this as 25 and 1 over the divisor, third. Okay, so this is a very similar process. So first of all, I'm going to take the x minus 2, and I'm going to write my polynomial in here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we need to think of something I need to multiply x by to get this very first thing here. Okay, so I need to multiply x by x squared to get x cubed. So I'm going to put x squared up here, and I'm going to write it above the x squared term in my underneath my divisor. So I'm writing x squared here, and now what I'm going to do here is really I'm multiplying. I want to think of it like this. Let me put it over here on the side. X squared times x minus 2. So that means I'm going to have x squared times x, which is x cubed, minus 2x squared when I distribute. That's what goes underneath here. I'm going to write this. And now I'm going to subtract. Now when I subtract, it's like I have parentheses here and I have to distribute through my minus signs. So what I like to do, it makes it a little bit easier for me, is to just change my signs and add. So I'm going to put minus here and plus here. I'm just changing my signs. Now I'm going to add straight down. If I've done this correctly, every time I do this, this first term should cancel out. And it does, right? I've got x cubed minus plus negative x cubed, which is 0. And now I have negative 4x squared plus 2x squared, which is negative 2x squared. Okay, so now just like over here, I ran out of things, so I brought the 6 down. So I'm going to bring down the next thing here, which is 2x. All right, so now I'm looking here and here. What do I need to multiply x by to give me this minus 2x squared? So I'm going to need to multiply by minus 2, and also I need one more x because I have 1 here, but I need 2. So I get minus 2x, and of course I'm putting it up above the x term here. All right, so now I'm going to do the same thing over here. Really, I'm going to multiply negative 2x times x minus 2, and that's what's going to go underneath here. Now I'm not going to do this all the time, this little side work, but I'm just, until we get comfortable with it, and I'm going to do it on this first example. So I have negative 2x squared and then plus 4x here when I distribute, right? Negative 2x times x gives me this. Negative 2x times minus 2 gives me this. I'm going to write this. Okay, so I'm subtracting, so that means I'm going to change my signs and add. So this becomes a plus, this becomes a minus. Let me write it more like here, okay? And then I'm going to add. So again, these two things should cancel, or I've done something incorrectly. And then I have positive 2x and negative 4x, so I get minus 2x left. Right, so I'm out of things, so I'm going to bring my last thing down here. It's the 5. And so again, I think what do I need to multiply this x by here to get this minus 2x? And so this time it's just minus 2. So if I come over here, do my little side work here, I'm multiplying negative 2 times x minus 2. And so I'm going to get negative 2x plus 4. That's what I'm going to write over here, negative 2x plus 4. I'm subtracting, so I'm going to change my signs and add. And so my two x's cancel each other out, which is what I wanted to happen. And I get 5 minus 4, which is positive 1. So pretty much I'm out of terms here. And as soon as the degree of what my subtraction here, I've got a 1, right? This is really what a constant term, which we consider to be degree 0. This is a linear term, which is assumed to be degree 1. So as soon as my thing that I have down here is less of a degree than my divisor, then what I have is the remainder. And so one way to write this, right, I'm going to put like remainder 1 up here, but the way that I want you to write it is that I would think that x cubed minus 4x squared plus 2x plus 5, I'm going to take my original divisor, minus 2 is equal to x squared minus 2x plus, actually that's minus, sorry, minus 2, and then plus 1 over x minus 2. Okay, so over here, our remainder of 1, we put it over the divisor, so we had 1/3. And so that's what we're doing here. It's, oops, you can't see any of that. Okay, so let's do that again. So that means I'm just writing the original division statement from up here, and it's equal to this piece here, x squared minus 2x minus 2, and then I write the remainder, which is 1, over the divisor, just like I did here in this one, 25 and 1/3. Technically, when I write 25 and 1/3, that's really saying 25 and plus 1/3. And so we're just writing the plus very specifically here. Okay, so let's do another one of those. All right, this time I have 2x cubed plus 4x squared minus 5 over x plus 3. All right, so I'm going to write my divisor here. Now there's a little bit something different here I notice about this one, and this will help you, is that I notice that I don't have all my stair steps here, meaning I have an x cubed and x squared. I seem to be missing an x term here, and then I have a constant term. So I'm going to put a space in there for my x term, because otherwise things will get confusing. So I'm going to write in here 0x minus 5. Now for those of you who know what I'm saying when I say synthetic division, I would prefer that you not use synthetic division. I am strictly teaching polynomial division because I find that too many students get confused as to when they can use it, because synthetic division can only be used in very specific cases. So I prefer to teach it like this because I feel like that's teaching it with meaning. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm not going to write all my little side work over here this time, but I'm going to kind of be very careful about it. So I'm going to have this times what here is going to give me 2x cubed. So I need to multiply x times 2, and also I need 2 more x's, so it's going to go above my x squared term. So 2x squared goes up here because x times 2x squared gives me 2x cubed. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to multiply it by both of these things and write them here. So 2x squared times x gives me 2x cubed, and 2x squared times 6 gives me plus 6x squared. Now I'm going to subtract, so that means I'm going to change my signs and add, so I have minus minus here. These two guys cancel each other out. Then I get 4x squared minus 6x squared, so I get minus 2x squared. And now I'm going to bring down my 0x. I leave this space in here because I realize that when I multiply this, the next thing, I'm going to have something here, and I can only subtract things that are like terms. So I don't want to put my minus 5 over here because I'm going to have an x term that's going to be in here. So we'll see that in a second. So I have now x times what gives me minus 2x squared. Well, I'm going to need the minus 2 and also another x. So now I multiply this times this, which is minus 2x squared, and minus 2x times positive 3 gives me minus 6x. I'm going to change my signs because I'm subtracting and add. So now I have plus. So these two guys cancel each other out. I'm left with 6x minus 5. So if I'd had the minus 5 right here and not left this, then when I brought it down, I'd have 5 plus 6x, and then I can't subtract those, so they stay a little less complicated if I leave that spacer in there. Okay, so now I brought down my last term, right? Came from here, this came from here, right? And now I need to multiply. And now I need to multiply this x times something that'll give me 6x here, and so I get plus 6. Right, so now I'm going to multiply through here again. 6 times x gives me 6x, and 6 times 3 gives me 18. I change my signs and add, and these cancel out, and then I get minus 23. All right, so now I have minus 23 over x plus 3. And so this is equal to now 2x squared minus 2x plus 6 minus 23 over x plus 3. Okay. Let's do one more of these. Okay, so I have 4x cubed minus 2x squared minus 3 over 2x squared minus 1. All right, so I'm going to do my division here. I get 2x squared minus 1, and I'm dividing in here. I notice I'm missing a stair step, so I'm going to put in a 0x again. So I have 4x cubed minus 2x squared plus 0x minus 3. Okay, now this one you might notice, I'm actually missing a middle x term here. This one goes from x squared to my constant term, so this is going to be a little bit more interesting when we go about this. So I'm going to multiply this here by something that gives me this, and so that's a 2x. So this time I just put my 2x down here over my x term. So now when I multiply this times this, I get 4x cubed, and when I multiply this by this, I get minus 2x. I don't want to put it under this minus 2x squared because it's not x. I need to only combine my like terms, so I'm going to put minus 2x here. All right, so now I'm going to change my signs and add. So this goes away, this becomes 2x, and I'm going to bring down this negative 2x squared here and this minus 3 here, because I haven't used either one of these. Okay, so this is what I'm left with. So now I want to multiply something here, right? This by something here that'll give me minus 2x squared. Well, all I need is a negative 1 in this case. So I put the minus 1 up there. I multiply negative 1 times 2x squared and get negative 2x squared. And then negative 1 times negative 1 gives me positive 1. And it's a constant term, so I'm going to put it under here. Okay. So now I'm changing my signs and adding. So I get plus, and then this becomes minus. So when I subtract, this goes away. I'm going to bring down this 2x I didn't use, and I get minus 4. Right, so this now has a degree of 1. My divisor had a degree of 2, so this is my remainder. And so this is equal to, up here, this 2x squared, or 2x minus 1, and then plus my remainder over my divisor. Okay, so our last example of polynomial division, I'm going to again multiply this by something that'll give me this. So that will be a 3 and an x squared, so that's going to come up here. Right, I'm going to multiply 3x squared through both of these terms and write them here. I get 12x cubed plus 9x squared. I'm subtracting, so I'm going to change both these signs. Right, when I subtract, this goes away like it's supposed to, and I get negative 20x squared plus 9x when I bring down this term here. Now I'm going to multiply this 4x times something here that gives me negative 20, which is negative 5x. Putting it up here, I'm multiplying it through both of these terms. Negative 5x times 4x gives me negative 20x, which is exactly what I want it to be, x squared I should say. Then minus 5x times 3 gives me minus 15x. Again, I'm subtracting, so I'm changing my signs and adding. Here I'm going to get 24x, and then I bring down the 18 from here. And now 4 times what? 4x times what gives me 24x, which that is 6. And so I put this under here, I multiply through, and I get 24x plus 18. When I subtract and change my signs, this one I don't get a remainder. And so what that means is that this polynomial in here, right, this 12x cubed minus 11x squared plus 9x plus 18 could be written as multiplication as 4x plus 3 times 3x squared minus 5x plus 6. Okay, so that is polynomial division.